when she was young, she was almost noyée, I think, drowned.
She was 13 or 14 or something. And for her to have put herself in that position, even though she was extraordinarily timid, but to even have put herself in that position, to face that kind of fear, because there's no courage unless you face a fear. If you're not afraid, you're not courageous. You're just fool rushing in. She knew that there was a fear there and she faced it anyway.
And for this scene, she had to make the scenes underwater. It was a big challenge for her, and she did.
I was about 12 years old and I nearly drowned, and I had to be resuscitated and everything, so I hadn't gone underwater since then.
Action. Straight up comes Winona, a beat, and then up comes Purvis, a beat, and we can take them right over here to there.
And I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, and so I talked to the studio about it, and I said, you have to like work something out where there's a double, and they said, oh, don't worry, there's always ways to work around that kind of stuff.
She would come up right like that.
And then when we got to it, because I had really short hair, there wasn't a lot of stuff that a double could do because you really see my face. So I realized I was really gonna have to do it. We had really great people helping us, but it's just very different. You do it in a pool and it's really easy and you think this is gonna be a piece of cake, and then you get to the actual set, and I just remember the first day I had a complete anxiety attack, and I thought, there's no way they're gonna have to replace me. Somehow I thought they'd use a double and they'd just shoot like little shots of my face underwater where I'd just like be able to stand up and get my breath and then go underwater and look scared. But no, I had to do it. I had to go underwater really deep. But we did go through training, and we had really great people helping us, but it's just very different. You do it in a pool and it's really easy and you think this is going to be a piece of cake, and then you get to the actual set and it was really difficult. Like I was probably the worst. You just have to like let it all go and float. Sigourney was very, very helpful.
Until like the day before we started shooting, I was playing a nymphomaniac on stage in New York. So I was like one of the few people who couldn't train. A lot of the actors were in the pool 3 weeks and getting certified and all this stuff. I've never wanted to scuba dive. So the day they took me into the pool and they took me into this horrible, dark, kitchen with dead pigs floating in it and all these spiky things all over, and they told me what I had to do, and I said, I went up to the surface, which is hard when you have a tank in your. And I said, I'm terribly sorry, but I really know that I can't do what you want me to do. I said, I know I'm very expensive, but I really have to tell you I cannot do this. I can't even go in that doorway where you want me to go. And I don't know what happened, but I just stayed there all day with these great safety divers. And I went from completely freaked, hyperventilating, because I'm not like Ripley. I'm not brave. And
Sigourney was really the trooper, and she was there for every shot. I found out later that she was claustrophobic and was able to overcome that. And she was very calm, cool, and collected. We talked about how to orchestrate, her positioning so that I could get the shot and get her out of there as quickly as possible. And she was excellent. She was great.
I think my husband saved me because he said, just, play Ripley and act the scene. That was the only thing that got me through, because I thought it just isn't my cup of tea.
It was definitely tough, but it was way harder for some of the other actors, like Dominique and Gary, because they're strapped together, and Dominique was upside down the whole time.
Well, I had great confidence to Gary, so I didn't I mean, the work, they were doing he was doing the work and I was doing nothing, just lying on his back.
I did a lot of water training, a lot of scuba stuff, a lot of holding the breath underwater. And then I did a lot of squats so I wouldn't throw my back out carrying Dominic around with his big head.
The toughest part was for him because he had to swim and with me on his back. And that wasn't so easy, but he was pretty good.
We tried so many different ways to do it with having him attached to my back and me swimming. And it couldn't happen, it's hard to swim. So I developed a way, between shots I used to crawl, I used to grab the bottom of the floor, it used to be grating. So I would grab the bottom of the floor and crawl. And Jean-Pierre saw it and he was like, you know what? That looks really cool, let's do that. So that's how that kind of developed. It was just kind of out of necessity because I couldn't get across otherwise. And it became sort of like a survival tactic, I guess.
Action, action, action. Get him there, cut, 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 cut. Make sure Dominique's okay.
Ernie Orsatti was the stunt coordinator on Alien Resurrection. And stunt coordinators, especially on big action movies, are pivotally important. But in this one, he was the one that coordinated all of these safety rehearsals that we had. He was the one that coordinated the sequence of events. You know, he was the one that actually counted down.
So we got hookah situation here. You should come in from the right side, Kim. Right there. Okay, now as you pass cameras, so we got...
Camera's behind.
Camera's behind.
Yeah, no, I meant she's gonna just go past
This
Pete.
is camera.
She's gonna get past the step one, step back. Okay, this could be. So, and who's got a hookah situation here by pole number 2? Right here, right, Pete? Right out here.
Correct.
Okay? You swim through, he grabs your ankle, you're gonna swim up to. And when you look back, get to there, lean down, bang, he's gonna catch that.
So I go in on the foot.
So, you get that. So what may be good is if you try to see how many strokes in before you get that. It's gonna be hard for him to grab an ankle.
Ernie Orsatti, our stunt coordinator, who was truly instrumental in being the voice, above the water to keep us going down below, letting the actors know what they should be doing, letting me know that I'm okay. It really turned out that Ernie was the thread that really was the bond that made it work.
Throughout he coordinated all the stunts, not just when we were in the water, but we really got to know this guy because he was what stood between the director, who was asking for insane things, and our safety.
2, go divers, go clear. 1, background action, go. And lower on the gun, lower on the gun, lower, and
Left
a little, and fire.
Non.
Sorry.
Non, il était pas en bonne position. Là. Tu attends que je dise.
Air, cut, air.
Reload.
Sometimes we had some risk. I remember one time a diver was outside to pee, and Dominic Pinault arrived, nobody to help him, It was pretty dangerous, in fact.
The take itself was totally different than the rehearsal. The rehearsal, you're in a mask, you see everything perfectly, you're breathing, it's calm. They say action, and holy shit! There's an alien chasing me, and you're out of air in 3 seconds.
Not only do you have to time yourself to know where you had to be, but you have to emote also. You have to act on top of it. So it was really, really tough.
I was very proud to work with you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you die today.
The end. The beginning of my end. I'm dying today. I had to have a lot of patience with myself and my performance too. I mean, I had to basically pretty much go for a ride.
And action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And don't, you know what I mean? You got to make it on that thing to make it whoom. Boom, and that's the cut. The minute he hits you, stay forward and blow bubbles. Let's try one more time.
I got tangled up at one point. There was a technical problem that no one could foresee. I was connected to the alien, who was a person. I was latched to him, and he was latched to a ratchet pole, and then it was connected to a rope, and that was up on top of the platform where the guys were pulling us.
Ratchet pull is basically a character swimming through frame, and then when they hear the word go, she's drastically pulled back to give the appearance that she's being dragged away by the alien underwater.
Do it. My best to the family. Let's clear out of the way when Tom comes down.
Something had happened, and I had got connected to the wire, and I kind of got slid back on the wire as it was cutting through my leg, and I was pulling at that and kind of got a cut in my hand. Nothing major, nothing big, but enough to go, oh my God. I'm like, nobody knew anything was going on. So I had no air, and there was nothing I could do. I couldn't get loose. I was sort of stuck there. It lasted like that, mind you. I mean, it was probably 30 seconds, but for me, I really saw that I have to really take care of myself and watch myself in these, you know, in this kind of action-packed stuff, because it's real.
I did get left hanging once. They brought somebody. My double had to go do something else, and they brought an extra guy in, and I came to the end of the scene, and I mean, when you're out of the air like that, and you are out of air, and there was nobody there for me, and I want to say it was Ron and his double saw. I mean, what is it? That sign that we did was, I think the sign was this, was, you know, fucking help me now. And these guys swam over, and we shared until we came up. That was scary.
Their job was to keep a keen eye on what condition we were in, be very sensitive to how we were going to feel when that cut was yelled, and what they would have to do in order to find us, because we couldn't see without the mask. I mean, in order to keep the water clean enough for us to perform in for a month, there were inordinate amount of chlorine, and then they dumped in, you know, 1 million gallons of milk to create a diffusion for the lights, and, you know, heads of lettuce, because it's a kitchen, and, you know, onions floating in all pots and pans. I mean, you know, it was like an obstacle course.
For me, it was easy. I was outside, you know, but for them, they didn't see anything underwater because we put some milk to get water more white, you know.
Water, like when it's kept for that long, things happen in the water that you don't want to know about. And when divers are down there all day, they don't hold it, if you know what I mean. It was pretty disgusting. And there was just like snot and phlegm floating by, and just really foul stuff. And plus there was like lettuce and like meat, and when all that stuff, you know, it's like it stews when you shoot for weeks and weeks. It stews because they can't drain it and refill it with fresh water for you.
They were sick because in the ear some infection, because after a while we understood they pee on the water, you know.
All the actors did a tremendous job underwater, and acting underwater is a very difficult thing. Tom had the added burden of wearing an alien suit on top of that, and we had a puppeteer in the water with him to control the facial functions.
You've got to hook his mouth. She has no hands, so you've got to look there to get it in. If your head's having any trouble, I told him to yank that glove off and take it from you. Usually we take it from you. So when we're down there, I want to try before we go too far to see if you can hit his mouth right there. Anybody got any questions? Can we do this?
They deserve a lot of credit, too, because for all the stuff that we went through under the water, this guy went through it with all this stuff on. And that's all foam rubber, and that's, once it gets wet, it gets pretty heavy. And you can't get to him right away, because he's all underneath all this stuff.
Great, Tom.
Last one looked really cool.
Water's coming out of the back of the head really good, Tom. You sit back like that.
In the alien suit, I just had two little slots in the. I'm inside the neck of the creature. I'm looking at through tiny slots, and I had a small slot to breathe through. And my sound is cut off because I'm encased in foam rubber and fiberglass and plastic. And added to that, being underwater, it was even more isolating. And the only way I could get through was just completely trust the underwater divers. Rod and his crew of divers had all the necessary breathing apparatus because we were in 12 feet of water, and in most cases the set had a ceiling on it, so if we needed air we couldn't just simply swim to the surface. And on top of that, in the suit, the way it takes on water and the way the whole head fills with water, I couldn't have done any swimming anywhere anyway.
Lower, I like that. Swim, and give him the hookah. Give him the hookah, he's sinking. Get him the hookah. Get him there. Get him there.
For my part, my contribution to the underwater sequence is that I stayed as far away from the water tank as I could so that I could be nice and dry and watch on TV and cross my fingers that 50% of the company didn't drown before my eyes. So it was really all Tom. I mean, it was communication was very difficult under the water, and I sure as heck wasn't about to get in there to help him.
After Christmas, Jean-Pierre made the first cuts of this scene, and we screened the scene with the crew on the sets, and Jean-Pierre showed the scene to the studio, and everybody was happy. So it was cool.
We got to see all of that cut together, and that was, yeah, because we'd spent a month in that pool. We'd all gone through a lot of work.
It was very humbling and very arduous. And I think that, if you ask everybody who was in that sequence, they'll all have a nightmare or two to share with you.
It was a wild time. It was kind of a miracle that nobody got hurt.
That was the first thing we all did together. And I guess that's how our ensemble was forged, because we all came out of it doing, halfway decently, some people really well. Myself, I survived. Winona survived.
It was like the worst experience of my life, hands down, I think.